There was like I wouldn't say it was like a huge letdown, but it's just like you go through texting coaches and then all of a sudden like they'll stop texting you out of nowhere. Like they'll
They
actually
just be ghosted.
they'll ghost you out
Nice.
of nowhere.
Do you
Yeah.
think having your dad as your coach for so long, like how do you think that influenced your softball career?
Oh god.
I mean, big coach's kid over here, so.
Yeah. He definitely was harder on me than he was on other people, which, he's my dad, so I guess.
Position wise, what's your position now? Because from what I remember, it was like outfield, shortstop, pitcher, catcher, everything. What are you doing now? All right, everyone, welcome back to the Next Gen podcast. Today, we have yet another very special guest, another female athlete, which is always my favorite way to do it. Today, we have Ella. Ella, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good.
Good, good. Well, for those of you that might not know Ella is from the Kansas City area, and grew up playing softball and is now a college athlete at Bradley. And we also got to play softball together in high school, so that's always a fun little, fun time. So let's catch up. I think, okay, what year are you in school right now?
I'm a sophomore. Second year.
Okay, so when I graduated, we would have played kind of 1 year together, but it was COVID basically. So we really didn't play. We just did like the whole practice tryout thing together. Where did life take you from that? From just like, being a little baby on the team to recruitment? When did you know you wanted to be a college player?
I started taking it seriously probably like the beginning of high school was when I switched coaches after my freshman year on my club team, and that's when like I actually had an understanding of like what went into like getting recruited in college, because like I started a little late. I didn't start playing until like the end of 4th grade, and most people were starting like when they were like babies, and so like I was a little late to that,
Right.
and like we didn't really know what we were doing until high school, but that's when I really started to get serious.
Why did you were also a multi-sport athlete. Why did you know that softball was like what you a little bit stronger?
So I just always enjoyed softball more. Like I love doing everything. I love staying active doing everything, but just like the team chemistry and everything, like my team just made me love softball and want to keep doing it.
So, have you ever had, because I definitely did, any experiences on a team where you were like, I love this sport, but this community and atmosphere is like not it for me? Like, how did you know when it was time to switch a team?
So I never really like switched teams. I've been with the same organization, the club organization, since I was a kid. I stayed through that the entire time. I guest played for other teams and whatnot, but the only time I switched was when I switched coaches. And so I kind of left. One of my teammates came with me, Gianna, but we left the other people that I grew up playing with, and that was just when we were starting to get more serious about wanting to get recruited. So, but it wasn't like a chemistry issue or anything. It was just we wanted to switch to a coach that knew a little bit more.
Fair enough. Yeah. What did that recruitment process for you look like? Like, how do you just say one day, okay, I want colleges to see me as an athlete that could be, in their organization? How do you actually get your name out there?
Lots of emails. You do a lot of emails, putting videos together of highlights and hitting videos and Twitter posts and going to camps and telling them you're going to camps. It's really just a lot of just trying to communicate and trying to get them to communicate back. Yeah.
Do you think that your kind of background with a little bit of, journalism and media knowledge helped out in that process and made you a little more knowledgeable?
Maybe a little bit, but really it's just like, it's more a game of just being consistent and just like continuously like reaching out, even if you don't get a response. Because if you send an email to the same coach over and over again, they're going to remember your name and they're going to keep seeing it. And they're like, okay, maybe I should look at this one.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Through your recruitment process, were there any like major letdowns where you let yourself get really excited and then, the deal didn't go through?
There was like, I wouldn't say it was like a huge letdown, but it's just like you go through texting coaches and then all of a sudden like they'll stop texting you out of nowhere. Like they'll
They
actually
just be ghosted.
they'll ghost you out
Nice.
of nowhere. So that's a little disappointing like every now and then, but it's a part of it. They'll just quit responding.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Right. What
Yeah.
other schools were you looking at really seriously?
The biggest one I was looking at was probably Northwestern.
Okay.
Uh, with their sports, they have also their sports media program that was really hard to get into too. But honestly, I got put on a timeline, and then also UMKC. I was also looking at
Oh,
UMKC.
cool.
That's where my teammate went, and I was thinking about going with her, but I got put on a time crunch for Bradley to where I had to commit for a certain deadline, and that was before I was
Mhm.
able to go on a visit to UMKC. And I went on my visit here, and I loved the coaches and I loved the players, and so I was like, okay, this is where I'm gonna go.
When you like did meet the team and everything, how did you know that they were like the right teammates and everything?
They were just so much fun. Like, and I'm not like when I first meet new people, like I'm not very out there. I'm a little
Right.
conservative. Um, but we went on our like official visit, me and the other recruit that came in with me, and like they all hung out with us. Like we went to their house and everything, and just like seeing the way that they were all like everybody just looked like they were having a great time, and everybody looked so close. So I was like, this is something I want to be a part of.
Nice. How do you make that official, like, yes, I'm here, I'm committing? What's that like process look like?
So you basically just tell your coach that you verbally commit first,
Yep.
before you sign the actual papers on signing day. So I verbally committed right before my senior year, this like at the end of the summer after my junior year,
Mm.
and in our at our national tournament. It just like clicked, and she came and watched me play again. Just like she was also recruiting other people, but she came to my game and whatever. And it just kind of like clicked to me, and I was like, I want to commit now. And so I called her, and I told her that I wanted to be a Brave. I wanted to come to Bradley, and yeah.
When you were looking at schools, you mentioned the sports media program. How big was that in your decision? Like, would you have chosen a school for softball even if they didn't have, your career path that you wanted to follow, or vice versa, and chosen one that had the career path but not softball?
Honestly, the like when you're looking at schools to send out emails to try and get on their radar, you narrow it down based off of
Okay.
what you want to go into school. So like I know I want to play softball, but I also know I want to do sports in school. I want to do sports media. I want to do sports
Hmm.
communication. So when I have a list of schools that I'm like, this is like one of my dream schools. This is what I want to get into. Both of those take part in that. So there wasn't really a huge decision factor in like choosing between one or the other because you're setting yourself up to have both.
Perfect. Digging a little bit more into the school side. First of all, I mean, I'm working full time and still in school, and I can't handle it. I can't even imagine, like, as an athlete, how do you do like time management? Just like break me down your week. What does like school plus athlete Ella look like combined? Like, how do you have time for everything?
You just figure it out, and
Mhm.
every second you have free time, you just got to use it. There's not really a lot of sitting around, which honestly I feel like it's good because I think I'm more productive when my schedule is
I'm the
packed
same way.
because I don't have time to procrastinate. It forces me to
Right.
do it. So like for this semester, we lift at 7, which means 6:30. We get there at 6:30,
Hmm.
and then I have class from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12 this semester, and then I'll have my practice block from 12 to 3,
Okay.
and then there's some days that I'll have class right after that. But then like my entire afternoon is pretty free. So I normally get all my stuff, classes and everything out of the way in the mornings, and then
Hmm.
at night is when I need to lock in and get my stuff
Right.
done. Yeah.
Right. What does your social life look like? Obviously, you're just gonna have those relationships with your teammates, but outside of softball, what does your college life look like?
Honestly, we're all pretty we stick with the team.
Yeah.
Or just like with like the other like athletic teams in general, like the women's basketball team and everything, like we're all really close. Like it's like its own community.
Right.
Yeah. So like I'll talk to people in my classes, but I don't really like. I haven't made like any like friends that are just like
They're
regular
just school
people.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
that
that
I
for
just,
sure.
yeah, and I mean like I live with my softball teammates, so
Hmm.
it's like
How did that happen? Is that set up by the team, or is that just like you guys were like, it's convenient, we're friends?
so it's a little bit set up by the team. Just we've all always lived together, so we kind of do. But some people like when we get into junior seniors, and we have transfers and stuff. Like there's some people
Hmm.
that live with like other sports too. But for the most part, softball's all together unless there's like an odd number, like they need more people.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Let's take it back a little bit. Let's talk about your growing up, Rebels, North softball, North track, North everything. I mean, I feel like you were all over the place. Um, you said you started playing when you were in 4th grade. How did that why? Why did you start playing?
Okay, my biggest influence is probably Lauren, older sister.
Right? Yeah.
Just because I wanted to do everything that she was doing.
Hmm. And do
I
it better, obviously.
So she was playing before I was, and
Hmm.
I would always go to her practices. Like my dad would take her, and I would come with, and I would like catch with my dad. And sometimes they would let me like do something like with the older girls, and that just like that was amazing. Like I loved doing that. That was my favorite thing. And at the time, I was playing flag football. Like that was what I was
Okay.
doing for the most part. And but they ended up once I joined to play softball, they ended up being on the same day. Like it was like a Saturday thing. Like this was like rec leagues, and they were both on the same
Yeah.
day. And my dad was like, "Okay, well, you can't do flag football like your whole life because there's no flag. Now there is. Now there's professional flag
Yeah,
football."
right, of course.
But so I ended up just quitting football and doing softball because that was the one that I would be able to play for the longest.
Right. How do you think Lauren felt about you just like infiltrating her practices and everything?
I don't think she was as mad until I started getting better. Like when I was like cute little kid, whatever, and then I started like taking
Right.
it serious, and then we would race, and then I would win, and then that's when I think she started to get mad.
Well, like I remember playing with her, like because you guys never overlapped, but
Hmm.
like it was close enough where I was like, hmm, I know both of their skill sets, and if I was the older sister, I'd be pissed. And like that's how I'm my sister already, and we don't even play the same sports, but like I'd be pissed. So just a little family competition there. Do you think that ever like having her play the same sport was ever a good source of competition for you guys of kind of a I'm gonna one up you?
I think so, but I mean, we never really we played against each other like every now and then, like maybe like one
Hmm.
or two games, and like I pitched against her and she pitched against me one time, but like we never really played against each other, so it wasn't like oh like I want to beat you kind of thing. We just kind of we're doing our own thing.
Had fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fun. So you started doing that always at Rebels? Were you Rebels since day one?
yeah,
Okay. That's
yeah.
impressive. I
We
like didn't switch teams often, but I think I was on a total of 3.
yeah.
So
Rebels started as the team that I was on. It started as one rec team in 4th grade, and that's all it
got it.
was. Just a rec team coached by a couple dads. And
Hmm.
then we just kept playing, and then all of a sudden we had 2 teams, and all of a sudden we had 4 teams, and then now it's what it is. Now we have I don't even know how
Right.
there's so many teams.
Right. And it's like a respected, like competitive organization now. Your dad had some part of that, didn't he?
Yeah, he's one of the
Okay.
owners.
Okay, explain like his yeah, like how he's involved, I guess, with Rebels.
Okay, so him and Mark Jenkins, they coached my original rec team, and then they kept coaching kind of like the higher team in the
Hmm.
organization as it like went up and as the teams like split, and we would like have tryouts. Basically, it turned into so many teams because Mark is bad at cutting people, which is okay.
Okay.
He's really nice, and so he's like, why don't we just
That's
make
cute, though.
another team that's a lower level team? And so then that just kind of kept happening, and we just kept having more tryouts and more people. And my dad and him, they kept coaching together. My dad coached me with him until my freshman year, which is a very long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he still coaches a 16, 18 team there now, but he's also an owner, and there's a couple, like 2 or 3 other owners there, and they kind of just run everything, the finances, figuring out teams. It's a lot of drama. More drama
I
than
know.
you
Yeah.
think.
Right. Especially when it's like girls softball, like baseball, whatever. There's gonna be drama. But my dad literally did the same thing with my brother. He didn't start an organization, but now like coaches at ABA and everything. And the amount of like drama that there is for like 15-year-old boys is crazy. So I know that on the girl side, it's even 10 times worse. Did he have any like background of coaching or softball, or just like because of you guys jumped into it?
Yeah. I mean, he coached Lauren. Like, he kind of helped with that team that she was first on, but he wasn't like a main coach or anything like that. And he just came to our games, and then he started helping out with the rec, and then they just learned as they went.
Fair enough. Do you think having your dad as your coach for so long, like how do you think that influenced your softball career?
Oh God.
I mean, big coach's kid over here, so.
Yeah. He definitely was harder on me than he was on other people, which, he's my dad, so I guess.
Right.
But and as much as many times I was very annoyed, and I was like, dude, like they're doing the same thing. Why are you yelling at me for it? He made me better, and like I have everywhere, like where I am today is all like thanks to him, because I couldn't have even been close to where I am. I mean, he got me to like better coaches, better teams. He got me to lessons. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, and he kind of didn't really either, but he tried his best, and he's so.
How is he taken to like stepping back and fully letting your college coaches be your coaches?
I think he's okay a little bit. He still likes to call me and is like, well, why are you doing this? What's going on? And he definitely still wants to be involved, but he's doing good, I think.
Okay. So switching topics a little bit, I want to talk about your time at Bradley. Position wise, what's your position now? Because from what I remember, it was like outfield, shortstop, pitcher, catcher, everything. What are you doing now?
Last year, I was both middle infield, outfield, but mostly just second base. I played second base, and I played left field. But during like actual season, I was basically just left field. And then this year, I am no longer infield. Thank God.
Okay. Really?
Yes. No. Especially like especially when we go into like individuals, when we have like 8-hour weeks. So then we're not doing team practices. We're just doing like, oh, here's an infield practice and an outfield practice, and you're there. And so I was there like the entire day, because I'm doing infield, outfield, hitting, and I was like, oh my God, this is a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
But, and I love outfield, so outfield's my heart. But this year I'm just outfield pretty much.
Okay. And hitting, are we straight like power hitting? Are we bunting? Are we slapping? What's that look like?
I am a slapper now, full on.
Oh, okay.
And that was what it was last year. They switched me over during our last fall game. Was the first time that I slapped in a game. I had not slapped at practice before that. I had only bunted left-handed.
Oh. Okay, so how did that happen?
Well,
like, give me the game scenario.
They told me before the game. They were like, we're going to have you slap this game. I was like,
yeah.
Okay, and you're not going to say, like, no. Like, you can't say no. They were just like, just throw your bat at it. It's okay. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a fall game. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. It's just like, go, just try it. I was like, okay, I actually didn't do that bad. It was probably a lot easier then, because I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just like, just touch the ball. Now I'm like thinking a lot, so that's not fast. But yeah, so still a slapper.
All right.
Yeah.
Give me some good like memories with the team, your favorite little goofy. Like I can tell you my favorite from North softball was our little runs to Sonic before the games. And like who let us think that it was okay to eat mozzarella sticks and like slushies walking into our game? Don't know. But give me like your favorite, like little goofy Bradley softball memories.
Okay. Hmm.
It's like a very vague question. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Um, we always okay. First of all, hacky sack. We play hacky sack
Okay.
all the time. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I always have the hacky sack on me in my bag.
Love that.
Everywhere I go, like we'll literally be like in the airport, and I'll be like hacky sack.
Yeah.
I am the one that tells everybody to play hacky sack with me. So that's definitely one of the biggest ones because we are just such a big hacky sack team, and like we have so much fun playing hacky sack
Yeah.
together. We go to a lot of basketball games together,
Oh,
and those
cute.
are always fun. Basketball, volleyball, all the games. We are
Mhm.
part of the student section, even when it's not much. um,
Right, right.
Also, football nights at one of the softball houses. We would always go. We call it 901. That's just the number 901. We'd
Yeah.
go there and have like a football night with like just watching the game and ordering pizza and whatever. Like we do a lot of chill stuff, just hanging out together. And I think that's just why we're so close because we're all just besties hanging out.
Right, right. That makes it perfect, and I feel like makes like good natural team chemistry. So perfect. Okay, before I let you go, let's talk about your journalism and media career so far. So in high school, you did newspaper, I believe.
Yeah.
Going off of like my own dome here, not like. Okay. And then how did you know you wanted to do sports communications as, what you're studying and what you wanted to look into for a career?
So I took the CAPS class.
Hmm.
I don't even remember what it was called, but the media one, like where you do all the
Right.
design and everything, and the photography, and like that really like sold it to me because I was trying to do that to see like is this something that I really want to do,
Right.
and like I love like the digital part, the graphics, the photography, like all of that, and so I was like okay, like I do want to do this, and also just like doing newspaper, like I liked writing.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely like the digital side more. So like I'm doing the sports communications and it's a lot sorry of the writing
Right.
and knowing all the technical stuff and everything and I do love that like it's interesting to learn about but I
Hmm.
also like am wanting to do the digital side of it. So that's kind of more what I've been trying to focus on like outside of the classes that I'm taking for my major and trying to do
Hmm.
more of the media classes to help me with that.
Right. What kind of like job experiences have you or like opportunities have you looked at trying to get into?
I did last year. I did an internship with our hockey team.
Okay.
And so I did like the camera and like the graphics for during the live stream and all that. And it was not what I expected. Like, cause I just had never done like anything like that.
Right.
It was a lot less like creative outlety than I thought it was gonna be.
That was more the straight broadcast team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, like even like when they were like, can you help with graphics? And I was like, yeah, I can help with graphics. And like I was like,
Hmm.
because the girl that I originally talked to, she said that they needed a social media person. And I was like, I could do that. Let me
Perfect.
do that.
Yeah.
And then like she kind of like she wasn't like the one that was doing all the communicating. It was somebody else. And then they
Mm,
just social media was like not a thing because like the hockey team like does their own. Like some dude on the hockey team does it, I think. And so
interesting.
yeah, I don't know.
Is
um,
it is it like a club hockey team or like a D2 or something?
I think it's a D2. It's
Okay.
not. I know. I think. I don't. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. I know like KU's is a club hockey D3, even though all of our other sports are D1. And they kind of do the same thing. Like they run it on their own, like, but it
Yeah,
looks good.
it's like
So,
through Bradley. Because so many people were like on my team when I was like, yeah, I'm doing an internship with the hockey team. They were like, we have a hockey team. So I'm like,
right.
maybe I think maybe it's a club team, but
It might,
they're
I don't know.
good. They're good, and they have
Right.
Bradley Broadcast is doing it. So, but
Okay. Huh.
yeah.
I don't know. So what would be your like post college dream life when it comes to all things sports? Like career wise? if softball's in there or not.
Probably, okay, like dream job would be to work in the NFL anywhere.
Okay.
Within media, definitely
Doing
not
like
like a
social
talker.
media
I would
photography.
not want to be a talker or the one on the camera.
Right.
Definitely not. But doing like any sort of media, any sort of graphics, anything like that, even writing, like that would be like the dream.
Right.
Definitely like I do want to keep working in softball, like maybe doing like photography for like a club organization or something like that, or
That would be cool.
even like
Yeah.
social media for a club organization.
Yeah. How do you feel? I asked Stella the same question a couple weeks ago, actually, about the recent rise in general, like popularity of women's sports, specifically softball. I mean, like Jordy Ball in Oklahoma, obviously,
Yeah.
like I feel like started that, and it's just kind of skyrocketed. How do you feel about, people actually finally caring about something that you've cared about for your whole life?
I love it. I mean, growing up, like you had so many people that just wouldn't like care. Like at our softball games in high school, like it was all parents. Like no, there was no student section.
Yeah,
And there
no.
would be a student section for baseball on their
Right.
big baseball game, but softball would never have a student section.
No one
Um,
cared about us.
no, even like women's basketball barely did.
Hmm.
Towards the end, like now, they definitely have more of a crowd. But
Right.
like
Right.
when I was there, like no, not really.
Coach
But
Fritz has done wonders for that team.
oh yeah,
She's crazy, but in like a good way.
yeah. No, but it's just nice to see people like actually take what you're doing seriously, because I feel like they
Mhm.
see women's sports as like at a lower level a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, softball is like baseball, but it's easier. Like it's
I was
not.
literally gonna ask if you've ever gotten that comment. That one comment drives me through a wall. And like, okay, have you ever heard? This is my favorite rebuttal to that. There's some stat out there, and I'm gonna get the numbers like kind of wrong, but because of the reaction, your reaction time is different because the like I don't know how far away the plate is basically from the pitcher.
Yeah,
A 70-mile-an-hour fastball in softball is equivalent to like a 95-mile-an-hour baseball pitch, or it's something like
yeah,
that, where it's
yeah,
like you might see 65 miles an hour and that it's a lot closer and that those are things to make it easier. But actually, like if we're going to put it in your numbers,
yeah.
it's not easier, okay? I don't know how to like, I hate like every guy who like plays baseball is like, oh, like I could go, hit a softball pitch, but you couldn't hit a baseball pitch. And I'm like, do you want to test that? Like, do we really want to like, okay, let me find my best pitcher I know. And we're gonna, whatever. Well, anyway, Ella, it was really great to catch up with you. I'm so glad that you're absolutely killing it at Bradley. I can't wait to watch you this upcoming season. But we do have to close out the show today. So, this episode, as usual, is brought to you by 810 Sports Radio. 810 Sports Radio is bringing you the next gen of sports right here on Next Gen. So, thank you to, of course, the organization for giving me some airtime and letting me talk to the smaller athletes, the ones who don't get the time, the ones who aren't going to be, in the Hall of Fame maybe, or professional like Hall of Famers. They're the ones for me, It's a baby step. But anyways, everyone go follow ella.shafer.22 on Instagram or ella shafer1 on Twitter. And we'll see you next week.